Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome to DIY with Nadia. Today we are making a Hobbit wreath for about $5. Wreaths like this are super hot right now, and they are selling for over $140 on Etsy right now. Let's get started.
This is a wooden round that I'm going to use as our background for the wreath. It is about 11 inches in diameter. And this picture is going to be the back, but I'm going to peel this off as much as I can. There's sparkles and I do want it to look nice and clean. This is going to be the front of the door. I'm just going to remove the sticker real quick. I usually just heat it up, scrape it off, and then just sand it down a little bit. I got the back all clean. This is going to be the front. So what I'm going to do is start making lines. Just grab whatever you can. And first I'm going to make lines to make it look like wood. Start scraping it. Make sure to make little nicks. I'm already done making all the scrapes that I can on my little door, I guess. I'm going to grab some black acrylic paint and I'm just going to paint around with the black. This is going to be the background color. Try to get into the little grooves because this is the main point of doing this with the black paint, is to really get into all the grooves here. Our door is nice and dry. Now it's time to bring in the green. I'm going to be using this grotto color by Folk Art, but you can choose whatever green color you want, or I've seen some yellow ones too. And I'm hoping that majority of those nicks show up. Don't you just love that black peeking through in the back? Now we're going to grab our black again, and I'm just going to use the cap for this, and I'm going to grab a small shabby brush, and I'm going to go in between where that wood is supposed to separate. And everywhere, remember when we made those little nicks and grooves? Those places too. And I think that just looks beautiful. I'm just smoothing it out. And then when you do that, your design comes through. Oh, it's going to be so pretty. Tap, 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 so we don't have too much. And we're going to go over the lines. All right, and I got my door. I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then we're going to come back and finish the wreath. Okay, now we're getting to the exciting part. So this is the wreath I'm going to use. This is the bamboo wreath from the Dollar Tree. And we are going to make this fit. We're going to attach it in two places, on top right here and at the bottom right here. I'm going to start by using the hole that originally was in this round, and I'm going to make a second one. I'm going to be using this crimper, and I'm going to choose the bigger hole right here, and I'm going to do it maybe 1.5 inches away. There you go. It goes through really nicely. And then I'm going to go to the opposite end and do the same thing. So here we go. This is this side, and that's the other side. And we're going to attach them using zip ties. So either we're going to go through vines right here, and they go through really easily, or you can just go around and we can cover that with moss. No big deal. So there's that one. Here is the second one. And this one's a little better. I'm grabbing a bigger piece, so now I know it's going to be nice and secured here. And I'm going to leave it on top because we can cover that, and then the back can stay nice and smooth. This is a Hobbit door, and as you can see, it's a little out of shape. It's not a clear circle, and that's all right. And if you have openings like this, or maybe like this, where you can actually see it, we can cover that with moss or some kind of greenery. No worries there. And now we're going to get our greenery. The cool part about this wreath is you can decorate it to your heart's desire. If you want just on top or just at the bottom, just make sure that you cover the zip ties if you're doing only one side. So what I did here is I did zip ties specifically like this because I want greenery right here and I want greenery right there. The first thing I'm going to use are these moss stones because they're the biggest item. So you always want to work from whatever's the biggest to the smallest. Then I'm going to come in with this greenery, and the reason I'm using this greenery is because it kind of looks like, I don't know, a little mossy, a little kind of, you know, it's because it has like this fuzz on it. And this is from the spring florals. This is from last year, but they come in different colors. There's some yellow ones. They come in different varieties. And so I am going to use flowers from ones I had before. I'm going to use these little kind of, I don't know, these little bundles right here, and then these yellow ones because I think yellow will work really nicely with greenery, and of course against this, look how beautiful that looks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just cutting these stones. Okay, and so I'll just start putting it wherever I feel like. Okay, so this one I cut kind of like on a little V shape. And the reason this one is nice because this way, this part can be hidden on the inside right here. Do you see that? It's sticking out, but that's okay. I meant for it to do that. And then this part that's kind of going on the outside, we can place it somewhere over here. Okay, now I'm starting with the greenery, and of course we want to start with the longest to shortest. I'm going to cut off these little buds right here where it's holding onto the branch, just so I don't have anything like that sticking out that I have to cover later on. As you can see, my greenery is pretty sparse. I didn't want to overdo it. You can always add more later on, but I made this part a little bigger, this one a little smaller because it's at the top. This one is, you know, the base of kind of like the tree, so I wanted that to be a little bigger. And now I'm just grabbing some reindeer moss and I'm going to start filling in at hot gluing. And the reason I like this moss is because it comes in these chunks and it's easy to attach. It's not that dry moss that kind of flakes off. The reindeer moss is nice and it will stay maybe for 2 years nicely before it starts losing its color, and then it's going to turn into this kind of moss. It's still going to be pretty, but it's not going to be as bright. At the end of the day though, if this wreath costs us around $5, it's not bad. So it's $1, $2 for the wreath, $3 for these, and then $4 for the moss. The rest of the things I already had on hand. This is leftover greenery. You don't have to buy greenery. You have greenery in your home you can probably use for this. So yeah, let's just start filling in the moss. This is going to be so pretty. Now I'm filling in on the inside right there where you can kind of see through. I'm just going to cover that right there with the bigger chunks, and this is the reason I absolutely adore the reindeer moss. And I put hot glue both on the wreath itself and on the door on this one because it's a pretty big chunk. And now the yellow flowers, I'm going to start with these bigger ones, and I'm just going to do a few, and I'm going to cut just the tips of them. And as you can see, I have a guest over here. Apparently, I've been working too long because he came around and he's like, okay, Ma, what are you up to? Oh, how adorable. Look how cute these look. I really like the way they look. I'm sorry, Leo, did I bump you? And now for these little ones, I'm just going to cut them right there at the end of each bud and just start hot gluing them everywhere. I felt like it needed more greenery in the back, so I'm just adding a little bit of greenery right here. And I'm going to just cover this area just a tiny bit with moss also. So right now, this is pretty much done. We're going to get started on our keyhole. For the keyhole, I'm going to be using this little cutout clock. And we're going to cut the actual clock part out. And this is from the Dollar Tree. $9 for $1 or $1.25 now. Not bad. First things first, I'm going to grab an X-Acto knife. And I'm going to cut right here where this little square part is holding on to the outside. We got our little frame, and I'm going to paint it with this gold metallic paint by Folk Art. And I specifically, I don't want this to be too bright because at the end of the day, this is in the forest. It's supposed to be a little darker, so I'm just kind of, I don't want to say dry brushing, but yeah, just going over lightly. And the paint is just supposed to give it a little bit of a glimmer. I'm going to let this dry and then just add a little bit more paint to the inside edge and the outside edges. All right, I better finish up this wreath because Leo's pretty much kicking me off my table over here. I have little room to work with here. But here is how this turned out. Kind of reminds me of the Friends keyhole, if anyone of you guys watch that show. But anyway, we are going to just hot glue it right there, right in the center. Oh, I think this is just so precious. And you can put whatever you want. Maybe you just want a bead. Maybe you want to do just a button. Anything you want for the keyhole. But I thought this was a super cute idea. You can also use this one if you want. This one's pretty too. I was contemplating between these two. But this is how my Hobbit wreath turned out. To hang the wreath, I found that it's going to be the easiest at this point to use a little wire. I'm just going to hide the ugly part of the wire in the back. And that's it. We have our little hook right here.